Welcome to the introductory video series for the Foundational Public Health Services Capacity and Cost Assessment Tool. This is video 3, Self-Assessment. This is the third in a series of 5 instructional videos that provide an overview of the FPHS CCA tool developed by FPHAB and the University of Minnesota. This video provides an overview of the Self-Assessment tab. At the end of this video, you should be able to describe the purpose of this tab as well as its outputs, understand the needed data inputs for the tab, be able to locate the major components within the tab, and be able to add data into the tab to generate the desired outputs. The purpose of the Self-Assessment tab is to understand what expertise and capacity were available in your department and whether any service and resource sharing occurred. To understand what can be achieved, you will need to have several collections of data ready to input into the tab. There are 2 main types of inputs for this tab: implementation and service delivery. Implementation inputs are collected across 2 categories: expertise and capacity. Expertise inputs include knowledge, skills, education, and experience. Capacity inputs include staff and/or other resources with materials and supplies. Both expertise and capacity are self-assessed using the drop-down boxes according to the rubric present within the tab and described in the next slide. This slide displays the rubric that is used for the self-assessment of capacity and expertise. To the left are the drop-down options for the expertise column of the tab, and to the right are the drop-down options for the capacity column of the tab. Both expertise and capacity may be coded through a 4-point scale for convenience. Please note that the lowest expertise and capacity responses are absent, which should indicate the absence of a skill or resources, respectively. The highest expertise and capacity responses are expert and full, respectively, which should indicate superior skill or resources, and no necessary improvements are needed. The middle responses for both expertise and capacity have subtle but meaningful differences. Please keep this rubric in mind when making your expertise and capacity decisions. Service delivery inputs are also collected across 2 categories: service or resource sharing within your jurisdiction and sharing outside of your jurisdiction. For the latter, this will include any services where your health department delivers services within or on behalf of another department's jurisdiction. The first 3 columns within the service delivery section relate to service or resource sharing within your jurisdiction, including receiving support or resources from public and private partners within your jurisdiction, as well as those outside of your jurisdiction. For the responsibility or service of focus, you will be asked to select the most appropriate response for sharing within your jurisdiction and with respect to your health department among key partners through a drop-down, from no sharing to transactional relationships to collaborations or partnerships. Next, you will be asked to enter the names of those key partners. Finally, you will be asked to input the % share of the responsibility or service delivered by your department, meaning what amount of activity in your jurisdiction was attributable to your department. The last 2 columns within the service delivery section relate to service or resource sharing outside of your jurisdiction, including providing support or resources to health departments outside of your jurisdiction. For the responsibility or service of focus, you will be asked to select the most appropriate response for sharing within or on behalf of one or more jurisdictions through a drop-down, from no sharing to transactional relationships to collaborations or partnerships. Next, you will be asked to enter the names of those jurisdictions or health departments. Lastly, we want to briefly explain necessary entries for this tab. While a full accounting of expertise, capacity, types of delivery, and partners may be valuable data and context, not all entry is needed. All self-assessment responses for expertise and capacity are needed. If any capability, area, or headline responsibility is not applicable to your department, please select absent in both the drop-downs. Service delivery responses are only needed for the capability and area rows. Data for the headline responsibility rows may be valuable but are not extracted in this version of the tool. If any capability or area is not applicable to your department, select No in the sharing dropdowns, enter No partners, and type in 100 in % delivered by agency. Inapplicable services will be accounted for in the self-assessment section as previously described.
The Self-Assessment tab is divided into 3 parts. Let's review the different sections of this tab. Please note the rubric to the right that defines expertise and capacity in this tab. To the left, you will find the Foundational Public Health Services Framework with headings for each foundational capability and area, followed by their respective headline responsibilities, which are specific components of each capability or area. This tab also includes the community-specific services, for convenience, for you to also self-assess local protections and services that are unique to the needs of a community. The next two columns make up the self-assessment section for each element of the framework via expertise, knowledge, education, and experience, and capacity, staff, and other resources. Each cell in these columns include drop-down boxes, with a rubric above this table describing the response options available in each drop-down. In these columns, you will select responses for expertise and capacity, respectively, using the drop-down boxes in each cell. When you click on a cell in columns E or F, a down-facing arrow should appear. Click that arrow to reveal the possible choices for that cell, and fill out these options for expertise and capacity. Let's dive into an example with the headline responsibility, use collaborative processes to assess community health and identify health priorities, essentially conducting community health assessments within the assessment and surveillance capability. Based on the staffing details entered in the current labor tab of this example, there were 0.7 FTEs dedicated to assessment and surveillance, so just under one individual, with about 0.4 FTE from leadership and about 0.3 from a community outreach program strategist. The department does not have a contract to further support this activity. Let's make the assumption that the strategist has some experience with community health assessments, but is not an expert. In this instance, we select proficient. This indicates skill, but also provides areas for growth for this individual or this department. Next, consider that there is 0.7 FTE available, but that's not very much effort for all within assessment and surveillance, including which amount of that 0.3 FTE of the strategist can be dedicated to the community health assessment. So in this instance, we consider perhaps that maybe the ability to deliver would be minimal. The capacity for delivering this service would be minimal, indicating that additional capacity would be needed to fully implement this responsibility. After selecting expertise and capacity in each of these drop-downs for the headline responsibilities, revisit each capability and area to make sure that the expertise and capacity reflects the overall expertise and capacity for that capability or area. Notably, if you do not deliver a responsibility, capability, or area, or that it is not applicable to you, respond with absent and absent for expertise and capacity. Next, the remaining columns to the right make up the service delivery section for each element of the framework. This section is particularly helpful if you're participating in a regional or statewide assessment where different public health departments share services or resources. The service delivery section has two parts: services delivered within your jurisdiction and services delivered in other jurisdictions. Let's start with your jurisdiction. In this first column, you will choose one of the following responses that best describes whether partners deliver services in your jurisdiction, again from a drop-down box as with the prior section. The first option is no. If your health department delivers this responsibility, capability, or area on your own, or if no organization delivers this responsibility, capability, or area, so no sharing occurs. Yes, another agency partially delivers this service in my jurisdiction. This would be if you receive assistance but still participate to an extent of delivery in your jurisdiction. Next, yes, another agency completely delivers this service in my jurisdiction. This would be if another organization delivers this responsibility, capability, or area on your behalf, or if other organizations deliver services in your jurisdiction and your health department does not participate. The last option is yes, we collaboratively deliver this service with another agency in my jurisdiction. This would be if you jointly deliver this responsibility, capability, or area with another organization where you have shared leadership or governance of that service. Please note that the foundational public health services encompass activities that are often mandated by law, are the responsibility of government, or prioritize population-based services, each of which point to a unique responsibility for public health departments. In this example, let's consider that the health department leads community health assessments, but receives substantial assistance and support by other organizations, so partially delivers this service. Next, we request listing the names of key partnering organizations who deliver services with or for you. Be as concise as possible and consider use of abbreviations. For this example, let's consider the local hospital and community building as assisting with the community health assessment. Then, you're requested to indicate the percentage of those services delivered by your department in your jurisdiction based on what was entered in the Sharing My Jurisdiction column. This number must be between 0% and 100%. Please note that the tool flags discrepancies between your drop-down selection for your jurisdiction and percent delivered. For example, if you selected No, indicating that your health department operates independent of others for this service or responsibility, then percent delivered must be 100%. So 100% of the service was delivered by your health department, or there was no service delivered by your health department, but that responsibility is still stuck with the health department. Similarly, if you selected another agency completely delivers this service in my jurisdiction, this should be 0%, indicating that your health department did not participate in the delivery within this jurisdiction. Again, another health department delivered this on your behalf or another organization. For the examples of partially delivered or collaboratively delivered, this number can be anywhere between 0 and 100%. For partially delivers this service in my jurisdiction, we would expect this number to be on the low side, indicating your health department has a lower role in this delivery. However, for collaboratively delivering this service, it might be the case that your health department percent delivered by your agency would be 100%, indicating a full partnership or collaboration with the other organization or organizations delivering the service within your jurisdiction. Returning to our example, we selected partially, and we'll presume that the health department, in its leadership role with other partners in this community, delivered approximately 45% of this activity. Lastly, we will conclude with the portion of the service delivery section describing sharing outside of your jurisdiction. The structures and options are similar to that of sharing within your jurisdiction. In this column, you will choose one of the following responses that best describes your sharing in another jurisdiction. No, meaning if you do not contribute staff or resources to other jurisdictions, such as another county. Yes, we partially deliver this service for another agency, such as if you provide some services or resources to support another jurisdiction. Yes, we completely deliver this service for another agency, such as if you're contracted to deliver services in another jurisdiction or on behalf of another health department for their community. Or, yes, we collaboratively deliver this service with another agency for their jurisdiction, such as if you jointly deliver this service with another jurisdiction. With our example department, let's consider a scenario where the Community Outreach Program Specialist is requested to consult on an adjacent county's community health assessment. They will not be fully delivering the assessment, nor will the two counties conduct a joint community health assessment, so we would consider this partial. We request listing the names, if applicable, of those jurisdictions you are supporting. Please be as concise as possible and consider use of abbreviations. In this column, we're expecting only the names of other jurisdictions, such as counties or cities, or the names of health departments. For this example, let's consider the partnership is with Valley County, so Valley County Public Health.
As mentioned, this is the third of 5 videos in this instructional series. If you require assistance with material that is beyond the scope of these videos, we invite you to visit FPHAB's assessment website, and you can also reach out to FPHAB or the Center for Public Health Systems at the University of Minnesota via email.